Before I continue this video, I have to mention that while I was creating this video, I did test out the copyright infringement system, and although it's not exactly the whole clip or such, it's still considered one. While I don't encourage piracy, I wish it had some form of notification in order for you to know that you can't use it, rather than go ahead and get punished for it without realizing it. It's pretty flawed. Therefore, as I mentioned before, that I am no professional at video editing, but it does leave my work to be done in a more tame way. I'm sorry for a lack of better visual, but for my safety reason, I have to play safe and not mess with the already broken system. Now then, off to the video. As I got back into anime, this day and age has given us option to see what's coming up and what's good, even though the rating is based on the audience, which allow anyone to rate it high or really low. Because of this, some series can be hard to read to know what you're in for, and other times you resort to judge the book by its cover. So I decided to give some a whirl, and surprise surprise, they are good, like really good. ITSUMO-san is a good example. I didn't expect much out of it, but after his run, I was pretty entertained by his comedy and the use of voice actors. That said, I would give it as an honorable mention. Why is that? The rule is simple. Anime has to be released this year as well as ended at last before winter 2017 season. For this category, it has to be an anime that has really caught me by surprise with its quality. Lastly, it's my opinion. If you agree or disagree, leave a comment below. All of us have our own taste, so opinions always vary. Here are the 5 biggest surprise anime of 2016. Konosuba was a series that I didn't think much of because of how it looks on the front cover. I thought it would be the usual isekai series that can be decent but not much. So after finishing the series, I was left wanting more with a sheer amount of laughing. Kazuma, the neat protagonist, dies and meets a goddess, Aqua, who offers him a chance to enter an RPG dungeon universe in order to slay the Demon King and obtain one wish. Aqua comes off obnoxious. However, once Kazuma has to choose his partner in the journey, instead of the guideline offerings, he chooses her to join him. Ha! Karma. But hey, at least she will be really useful thanks to her status, right? Nope. Hijinks ensue. I wasn't expecting to get a lot of laughs in this series. In fact, I thought I was getting nothing but cute stuff going around throughout the series. Once I saw how Kazuma dies, it really set the tone, and I won't give it away, but you can see how this series operates. That said, I wouldn't call it a parody of said genre, but more like a really fun take on it. It has more of my liking since it really feels like an RPG journey, from hard labor to learning on how to use a class and its ability. What stands out to me is that everything isn't done just to be funny. It actually feels like a genuine journey, that not everything is neither perfect nor favors you, but it's like a slow learning process that a weakness can't be a greatest perk. Megumi, for example, has a powerful magic, but she only uses it because it's her favorite and refuses to learn any other magic. Not only that, after she performed it, she passes out and unable to stand up for an entire day. It's comical, but later on you can see how they somewhat make it work in a clever way. Characters are fun to watch. They all have their highs and lows. Well, mostly lows, but you can't hate on them. It's just a slow moving curve that a lot of hilarity ensues. The comedy is really good, especially the voice actors really put efforts in it. I can't do it justice on the way how Kazuma, voice actor, executed. The animation is colorful, and there are moments that they attack that can look great to see. Season 2 is announced, and I can't wait to see it. However, I am a bit skeptical since this season is an introduction and lasted only 10 episodes, it is possible that these characters can get tiring with their personality. Except for Megumi, she's great. I guess I shouldn't think too much and just wait and see. Other than that, it was a joyful series that I won't be surprised to see the second season just as good. I only know about this series from a crossover with Assassination Classroom in the manga. So when I heard about this series was getting anime adaptation, I had no idea what to expect. Even the crossover didn't give me too much idea of his universe. I randomly chose this anime for whatever reason, I don't even know. But I can say I don't regret it, not one bit. At first, I thought the title, Disastrous Life, would indicate that he has to go through tough times like being bullied, or something that he is cursed by psychic power, something that he is very upset in a very dramatic way. Instead, it's almost a total opposite. His psychic power is great, he can be magnificent, and practically can do anything. So why is this a disaster? Because it's a major headache to fit in a normal life, while many odd characters just keep on spawning. It doesn't help that his power can grant him to read minds, so it's a major pain. However, the series isn't cringeworthy, but instead tons of laughs. It is hilarious. There are powers that sound great, but at the same time, bad. There are powers that have a balance, yet at times, it can be more on a disadvantage side. There's a lot of funny yet creative way to utilize this technique. Characters are a lot of fun, especially the trio that he don't want to hang out, but tends to follow him. Kaido is like a wannabe protagonist in the real world. Not only he is delusional, but he's all talk, no action. Nendo is, well, an idiot. Saiki can read his mind because there is none. Therefore, he can be his greatest foe. There are many other characters that Saiki has to deal with, and they all have odd yet colorful personality. The animation isn't all that great, but it doesn't need to be. What is there is to deliver visual comedy with a lot of good punchline that you often don't see it coming. Some of the episodes can go really fast in dialogue. It adds more to the comical effect, especially since it's done on purpose. If you don't know Japanese, you'll be pausing to read all the text. The show also has reference to others in a parody form or a shameless plug. The series did continue further from the last due date, so I can't say for sure that this will end by the end of fall 2016 season. However, I have a lot of fun time with these oddball characters, as Saiki is the one that's suffering. It's a disaster to him, but it's an absolute joy to me. Though, if this does go further than the original date, then you could disqualify this and replace it with real life. I mean, I wasn't surprised by it, but it's a pretty good series. When I saw the poster, I didn't think much of it, and I was just thinking, well, that looks okay. My girlfriend shows me images that I wasn't even aware that it's from this series, so I decided, you know what, why not? I know Tanaka is, well, listless, it's right in the title, I mean, seriously. But I don't know if I was going to enjoy this, since bored out character tends to drag the series down, at least the way I see it, because that's my experience. In the end, I was amazed with his charming atmosphere with swell characters. It's a slice of life with Tanaka, who is downright exhausted and unmotivated with practically everything. Something like this could be boring, but this series did a really good job on capitalizing his traits. There are moments that you can't believe on what you're seeing from him, yet you can't help but laugh. It's done with a charming visual, which brings out, ironically enough, life to him. It's funnier that there are moments that you can actually relate to him with his actions, or lack thereof, and his opinions, including the umbrella being a pain. I can vouch for that notion completely. But if he doesn't do it for you, then it's these delightful characters that bring a lot of joy. They have distinctive personality from each other, and they can mix in well with Tanaka, including Ota, his best friend. It's funny to see how much of a man he looks, but some of his traits say otherwise. Miyano is perhaps the most adorable character in 2016, in my opinion. The way she was used by the animators is cleverly done in a cute yet hilarious way. Her size and personality is so funny. Other characters are charming. The whole series is charming. It also highlights the more sincere moments that are relatable and morals that we can adapt from. The animation is delicate. Soundtrack is soothing. The atmosphere just feels relaxed. The comedy is really good, though it is not as over the top as others that I have previously mentioned, with some exception. In fact, it comes down to the awkward scenes that can make you laugh or scratching your head. It may not be for everyone, but for me, it was really good. It was a delightful experience that I won't mind going back again. I actually know the series for a while, or so I thought. I was actually hyped because it looks to be funny, and the casting is like similar to Gintama, which has voice actors that can really do comedy justice. So not only I got what I expected, I got a lot more than I bargained for. In fact, it's more than enough to make me really like this series. Sakamoto is pretty much perfect in every way. He looks flawless. He seems flawless. He is absolute flawless. Regardless of the focus centered around him, the series actually implement other students to cave in with the thought of him being so perfect, yet they can't understand why that is. While the series is a comedy, it has many interesting and thoughtful segments that provide profound morals. Sure, there are funny visuals to see how much Sakamoto can outdo the negative, but it's the way on how characters learn from their mistakes or flaws that Sakamoto shows them with his strange yet effective tactics. It's not the case of Sakamoto not realizing that he's doing something good for others. He knows what needs to be done. Students like Atoshi can be troubling because, well, high school delinquent bound to occur, but he has flaws that sometimes a simple acknowledgement can change a man to be better than he believes he's only limited to. There's a good sentimental moment that I couldn't believe that I was actually sucked in with his character and drama. These characters aren't portrayed with over-the-top expressions or wacky moments. Well, the point is that the series is handled on a more grounded level. So the morals are not only well addressed, but it can be relatable. When it comes to the comedy, it's handled with a hilarious visual of a realistic portrayal of characters pulling off odd moments, which can be funny. It is, however, difficult for others to see its comedy approach, especially on how it sticks to the realistic approach in a way. It's like watching a sitcom with a laugh box versus a standout with no crowd reaction. It can be difficult to find it funny. The animation is on point. The soundtrack is, dare I say, cool, especially when Sakamoto pulls off impressive stunts. What sold me is the ending. Honestly, I couldn't believe on what I just saw, but it really got to me. Well, I won't say anything more than that. If you had never seen it, pay close attention to Sakamoto. It's a well thought out series. It's not perfect, but it's definitely cool. There are series that sometimes good comes for those who wait. Season 1 or any beginning with a slow start can push people away, and maybe, just maybe, there's a bigger picture waiting for us to see. Season 2 can really show the huge difference from the last one, despite the obvious updated animation and whatnot in terms of production. I mean, with its direction, that's what I'm focusing on. So, which series got me surprised the most? Oh man, this series really caught me by surprise. My girlfriend wanted me to watch this really bad, and she has known really good quality series. I took a long time to finish it. She was so excited for season 2, but I remained behind. I decided to finish it, so I don't want to let her down. plus I may end up something worse. Anyway, season 1 was good, but I didn't think much of it. Once I finished catching up with season 2, I was floored on what I got instead. I wouldn't go as far as to say it's night and day with the predecessor. However, it's like the latter has changed the writer, and what I got is something I didn't think I'd become a fan of. This season is pretty much the one that many wanted it in the first place. To be fair, the first season is more of an introduction with a lot of comedy that did override the drama a bit. There are comical moments in the second season, however, it's executed better and balanced precisely with the drama. Not to mention, it's funnier than before. When it comes to the series segments, they're done in a really engaging way that not only I was hooked by it, but was really entertained. But the best part is how personal the plot has now become, and everything feels so significant, including a small subtle hint that plays well into the next scene. There was a thought that occurred to me that all of these great stuff happens in the flashback, so going back to the current timeline, the show may loses a lot of good points. Fortunately, that's not the case. The actual story focused on Atoshi, who was kicked out of the orphanage, joined with Dazai and the detective agency that specialized with supernatural power or gift. From there on, there are a series of gang war aimed for supremacy. Season 2 has a lot going for and is highly entertaining. The action is much more diverse than before, so a lot of unique factors come in play, and it can be creative with its teamwork. Characters are nicely introduced in season 1, while season 2 elaborates them further with a lot of cool moments and swell developments. The animation is really good, expect no less from Bone Studio. The soundtrack is immersive, and the voice actor does a great job on portraying the comedy and emotional scene. This series has an ending, but it will end before the year end. That said, what absolutely shocked me is the great storytelling of Dazai flashback. That alone sold me to place this as number 1. Everything from character to the great, tense, final action set piece is vintage Bone Studio. But of course, it's thanks to the original source to make it happen. If you watched the first season and thought it was decent, but not enough to warrant watching the second season, I urge you to go for it. It made me a fan, and I am planning to read the manga, or even own a copy when it finally released to the state. It's highly entertaining, plot-driven, impressive characters, and it's everything I was hoping for from this first season. But in the end, it was designed to have me exhilarated and be surprised enough to be biggest surprise of 2016.